you ever wondered what a soul retrieval looks like? This is when you are journeying into somebody's Akashic Records to find fragmented pieces of self, whether that is from trauma, spiritual gifts, soul mission, inner children, is things that need to be interwoven back into self. I'm going to show you what one looks like so that you have real-time tangibility of a type of format this can be done in. Now, this is the way that I do it. This is not necessarily 100% the way that you're going to do it, but when I first started on my spiritual awakening journey and I kept on hearing the terminology soul retrievals within shamanism, I was like, what the heck is that? I didn't really see any representors, and so that's why I come on and share the ones that I do with my clients so that you have a real-time example of what one can look like and the processes to help you get there. This one specifically, it is for a third eye chakra activation that I did with a group of persons. And what I do for these is everyone signs up and registers for it, and then I will go in the astrals, the ether, and instead of leading an entire group of people, I will ask everyone's higher selves and souls to merge into one. And then I speak with that one soul specifically the entirety of the journey, and that makes it a much easier process for me. And it makes everything a lot more in congruence and streamlined with the storytelling. Now you might be thinking, oh, well, how's that going to resonate with everybody if you're, having everybody merge into one? It actually makes it a lot more dynamic, because what that is doing is finding crossroads in everyone's Akashic fields of things that resonate with everyone. They're very broad-scape symbolisms and interpretations and decipherings. So it actually makes it a lot easier for people to grab onto those concepts and to integrate them to create forward movement. And even though this is for another group for their third eye chakra, you are still going to get downloads and insights for your own life as well, because obviously you're meant to hear it if you're watching this right now and you've made it this far into the video. So if you would like to learn how to do soul retrievals specifically in your own energy healing and practicing business practice, I do have a masterclass where I go very much in depth and make it very easy to understand. We're all about tangibility over here. You can find that masterclass, Soul Retrieval and Past Life Masterclass, in my bio or the comments. And let's go ahead and get into this third eye activation soul retrieval. Hello and welcome to this third eye activation that we are doing together today. I'm super excited. This one's going to be a little bit different than the other ones that we have done previously. It is going to be more about peace, calm, and relaxation, because oftentimes when we are working on perceiving into different frequencies, dimensions, the astral, the etheric fields, or just even perceiving our reality on the 3D plane out in front of us, sometimes that can bring on some anxiety and some stress. So we are working through those layers today to unravel those yarn strings so that you're able to perceive with more clarity. A little bit of an emotional roller coaster when we get a little bit further into the reading, so make sure that we are in a good mental place to receive this. And it's nothing like too wild, but when we get to a certain point, I was crying my eyes out. So if that gives you any indicator, but I'm also a very emotional person, but I always like to give a heads up just in case. So when I went into your energy field, we were standing inside of a wave pool, and I'm going to show you a picture in case you need a reference. It's like this big giant pool that makes waves. Okay, here's another one here. It was just you and me in the pool together. It was a really nice, warm, sunny day. It was perfect with the atmosphere, and you and I had these big pool floaties on around our waist, like you would see somebody with like a giant flamingo and different animals. And what it was supposed to symbolize is riding the waves of consciousness. I asked you to give me your hands, and you put them in my palms, and I clasped them together, and then we were transported to inside of a hydrangea flower. I'm going to show you what one looks like here. They come in multitudes of colors. We were basking in the smell to help us elevate our frequency. I don't know if you've ever smelled hydrangeas before, but they're very lovely. And while we were inside of it, you were kind of getting a little bit sleepy. You were focused on rest. And I said, hey, it's okay if you relax. If you go sit down and rest your body against one of the petals and close your eyes. So when you were sitting there, I came over and booped you on your head and this light point, and a meridian map came forward. So if it's your first time hearing about meridian lines, those are your energetic pathways of your chi flow. They connect your brain, organs, chakras, skin, just really everything about you. When I was taking a look at what was going on, the schematics, a butterfly popped out of your meridian map, and I said, oh, hello, how are you doing today? And it landed on my finger. And butterflies obviously are representative of metamorphosizing, transfiguration, transformation, all of the fun evolving words. And so I started to follow the butterfly deeper into your energy field, and then we went to Candyland, the board game, and we went to Peppermint Forest. You and I were walking around, and it was very cool and refreshing, like peppermint. And you had this almost like Yeti costume on. You were dressed in all white, and it was very fuzzy, very furry. It was very cute. Then we saw a pigeon that was walking around on the ground, and pigeons in shamanism are representative of peace, family, and returning home. And returning home in this circumstance is maybe we haven't been feeling the most relaxed as of recent, but that is your natural homeostasis as a multidimensional being. And so that is the home that we were returning to today. And you reached down and picked the pigeon up and brought it up to you and like kissed it on his head. You put it on your shoulder up here, and your white kind of Yeti coat that you were wearing turned all of these multi-colors, very iridescent, and I was like, swag. What that was representing is looking for the magic in life. You were really excited to pick this pigeon up. You didn't have to, but you're like, oh, this would be fun and silly and honor our pigeon friend here. And then you got to experience that multicolored transformation. And I want to show you this picture of this pigeon here. This is kind of giving what your outerwear was looking like and the pigeon itself. This is when I handed you some party glasses. And you said, what are these for? And I said, well, what do you think they're for? And then you and I went to a different section of your field at this very ornate, lavish tea party. Real long table, all of these different teacups and snacks and desserts. We're holding our teacups with our pinkies out like this. And I don't know why you said this, but you said, ha ha. And I said, wee wee. And you looked at me and said, I need to stop taking life so seriously. I said, yeah, I get that. I hear what you're saying. And I said, do you think that we could pick a higher vibration sentence than I need to stop taking life so seriously? Because that's kind of stewing in a negative context. So how can we make it a bit more positive? And you said, I am excited about having more fun. I am excited about having more fun. I said, okay, how did that feel? And you said, better. And I said, okay, let's go up a whole nother level. What do you got next? And you said, I am excited to be my true, authentic self. And I said, well, who is that? That avatar version of you, your true, authentic self. And you said, fun, lavish, carefree, lighthearted, and grounded. This is when you got sucked into an egg. Which is funny now that I'm thinking about it because we had the pigeon. But you were in this big, giant egg, and it was kind of just sitting on the ground, and I was outside of the egg. And eggs in shamanism are representative of new beginnings and transformation, much like our butterfly friend from before. You have ever seen Jurassic Park? For a brief moment, I saw you in the egg inside of an incubator, and it looked like this one from the movie. It was giving the energy of being back in the womb, which eggs are also representative of. And this is when I actually saw you inside of the egg with yourself and baby you when you were in your mother's womb. This is where we're gonna get emotional. So you were in here as a caretaker and a protector, a guide, a mentor, basically the higher self of infant you. And then I was inside of the egg with y'all. I mean, obviously I saw you before, but I was just more present as to what was going on. And when you were speaking to baby you, you said, I am going to lead you to a life of regulation. I am going to lead you to a life of regulation. I want to be very mindful when I'm saying regulation, because that can kind of be taken as oppressive if you're hearing it through that lens. Regulation means more of finding peace and calm and serenity in life. having a regulated central nervous system, which is what all of us are working towards. That's where we can really embody our manifestations and our magic and just having an easier flow throughout life. When we were observing your mother's womb, there was a lot of ancestral and generational trauma that was being carried. I mean, that's not just with your mom. I mean, that's everybody. Walking on the earth, and we're all working towards, healing those things. But what we could see was a lot of programming and oppression and trauma that had been passed down through the generations. You were sending love and light to your infant version for their future journeys ahead. Now, this is where things get a little wild. Time is not linear. Everything is happening all at once. There is no really future or past. It's more GPS entry points in the Akasha fields that you can access. And what the wild part about this was, I was viewing a memory with you. You were already in your mother's womb when you were an infant as the higher self, speaking to them and saying, hey, I'm going to be watching out over you. I love you so much. Is it going to be a little tumultuous? Yes. But that is you clearing out the ancestral and generational trauma, not only for yourself, but for your family and everyone in the collective consciousness. But I'm always going to be here right beside you. And so you were energetically prepping them for the life that you have been living. This is when you spoke some words of encouragement over your infant self, and you said, we are all interconnected and watching out for each other. You have a whole team of Lightworkers who love you and are here to support you. You will not be alone on your journey. Just one call, that's all. I don't know if you've seen that infomercial before with Ken Nugent. One call, that's all. He's a lawyer. That's what you were saying. And you said you are safe and you are loved. After you spoke the words of encouragement over yourself, we went to a different section of your energy field, and we were standing in front of this really enormous pecan tree. And here is a reference if you want to see what one looks like. They can get really, really big. And that was the one that we were standing in front of. And when I was asking your higher self why we were here specifically, obviously the tree had healing that it wanted to offer to us. So pecans in and of themselves, like the actual nuts, have a lot of antioxidants, specifically flavonoids, that protect cells from damage. They also contain omega-3 fatty acids that support brain functioning, and because your third eye chakra is housed in the area of your brain, this is going to help give an amplification and a boost to your psychic intuitive abilities. And it also they also hold manganese and copper, which have anti-inflammatory properties. And I had you go stand in front of the tree, and I took a energetic snapshot, like a Polaroid picture, so that it could be running in your subconscious with all of these healing benefits. And your higher self said it would be a really good idea to eat some pecans. Just go into the grocery store and grab some, because that's going to help further this third eye activation. And then we both gave the tree a really big hug, and we invested some more, time hanging out with it. And we said, thank you so much, my beautiful friend, for providing us with this healing today. So you may have also noticed that we skipped over the throat chakra. I didn't mean to necessarily. It just happened that way, and then somebody reached out to me and was like, hey, we're gonna do the throat chakra. And I said, oop. And what I realized was your third eye chakra is really more introspective, where your throat chakra is more outrospective with communication, and third eye chakra being with insight, and then it coming out here. So this was really prepping and preparing us to go through the throat chakra, because that's going to be a little bit more of an intensive energy, where our third eye is really focusing on peace, calm, serenity, seeing that is very important in our lives during this chapter specifically. And then your sweet little baby inside needed a reminder that they are always protected and cared for and loved and safe, and you have been there the entire time for them. just as your higher self has been there for you this whole entire time. I would love to hear in the comments if there were any synchronicities that really stuck out to you. So I'm going to name a few of them. The wave pool, hydrangea flower, Candyland in the peppermint forest, the pigeon with all of the iridescent coloring, being in the egg womb, or meeting with our pecan tree friend. And I want to thank you so much for inviting me to be your sparkly fairy guide on this journey together today. And I will see you next time for our throat chakra activation.